When Franklin understands that his brother's inheritance is going to be stolen from under his nose, he decides to get rid of him. In order not to be considered as a suspect, he has the idea of including the murder as part of a series that the police will put down to a madman. Franklin uses Sir Carmichael's medical records to choose his victims as well as the ideal suspect, Alexander Bonaparte Cust, who was seriously wounded in the war and suffers from bouts of amnesia. Franklin writes the letters he will send me before each murder on his own typewriter in advance. He contacts Cust by letter and offers him a job. Cust is convinced that he is working for a hosiery company. In reality, it is Franklin that sends him his instructions, his goods, and even his typewriter. When we receive the first letter, Hastings thinks that it is a joke. As for me, filled with foreboding, I prefer to inform Chief Inspector Japp. Following his written instructions, Cust goes to Andover. He visits Mrs. Asher's tobacco shop and sells her a pair of stockings. After Cust's visit, Franklin, in turn, enters the tobacco shop. Mrs. Asher is not suspicious of the murderer, whom she takes to be an ordinary customer. The old lady turns around to take a packet of cigarettes. She is beaten to death. We investigate the first murder with Hastings. No suspect has a motive. A few weeks later, we receive a second letter signed ABC. Chief Inspector Japp is informed. The victim's name should start with the letter B. Alexander Bonaparte Cust goes to Bexhill. He sells Mrs. Barnard a pair of stockings. Betty Barnard leaves her work. She's dressed to go out. The young woman is strangled on the beach. Betty was killed by the man who had arranged to meet her that evening, the seducer Franklin Clark. In Bexhill, Donald Fraser appears to be the perfect suspect for Betty's murder, but he has no connection with Mrs. Asher. 5 days after the Bexhill murder, Cust goes to Churton for his work. In the afternoon, Soagre turns away a stocking seller. After dinner, Sir Carmichael Clark takes his usual walk. His brother waits for him, hidden behind a bush. The murderer leaps out from his hiding place and cuts Sir Clark's throat. The third letter arrived late. Franklin deliberately wrote a wrong address. In Churton, Thorogray and Franklin Clark are the main suspects. Back in London, Cust is seized by a violent coughing fit and brings up blood. He stains his shirt, which later frightens his landlady. We receive the final letter from ABC. The next murder will be in Doncaster. The second general meeting in London highlights the common point between the victims, stockings, and a throat condition. Cust's landlady telephones Scotland Yard to tell them about her suspicions. Cust is arrested shortly afterwards in Doncaster. Franklin had planned a fourth murder in Doncaster. He abandons the idea after Cust's arrest. Cust confesses to the crimes he did not commit. He's an easy culprit. Too easy. Franklin Clark is unmasked. He is the true culprit and the man who manipulated Cust. And there we have it. Another case solved by Erkülem Püaro.